All right. Hello, Sooner Nation. Welcome to a snowed in Soonercast. We pushed it back because on Wednesday, games got moved and girls fighting. And, and so it was, I said, well, I think we'll be inside this weekend, so we can probably fit one in.
Yeah.
So I decided to do one while I've got 6 15-year-old girls sitting in my house. So if you hear screaming and Hunger Games stuff downstairs, just know, I mean, they're okay. They're just claiming their dominance.
Yeah, Jeremy did tell me that at one point he was concerned that his wife may be murdering one of the said girls. And I was like, well, is it one that's related to you or not related to you? Either way, I think there's probably some justice there. But you're talking to a guy who literally makes his living dealing with, with these people. So, there's no drama like freshman girl drama. So,
Steve goes, oh, was Lindsay wanting to kill him? Why's that? Because she said she was.
Yeah.
Her exact words were, somebody get these kids away from me before I kill them. I was like,
but speaking of drama and messes and things that hardly anybody enjoys, but people have to deal with, let's talk a little Sooner Hoops. I think it was pretty funny in our group text. Jeremy and I refrained from like really texting each other or anything until I think it was like a minute and something left and OU was ahead. And I sent out the text of 1:35 left. OU is up by 1. Any takers on win or lose? And I think the best response was, I can't remember who it was. One of our friends just like, why are you guys torturing yourself by still watching this stuff? And Jeremy and I were watching. And so I'll turn the floor to you first, Jeremy. Talk a little bit about the Missouri game.
They just look like a team that's given up not only players but coaches, not fouling up 3. I mean, that is basketball 101. And also, too, I was telling Steve before we got on, the thing that bothers me the most about the Moser era is never knowing, especially when it comes to conference season, what team is going to show up. Do we get the Alabama team, which we still lost, but we played better than we ever have. And we followed up with a clunker against South Carolina, where if we played like we did against Alabama, we beat South Carolina, and then we do what we do against Missouri, and that's how we get beat. It's like, I don't know what karma gods we pissed off in college basketball, but we really pissed them off. I mean, is it because we had a team that had basically 5 starters together for 3 to 4 years? Is that our punishment? Like, you get the last team that stayed together that long, but you're going to have to pay the price. We're going to give you Porter Moser. So, I mean, I don't know how.
Here's the deal, Jeremy. I mean, it's just, and if you want to go back to last year's pods about this time, we kind of went on a similar type rant, but Porter was just a bad hire. It's a bad fit. I don't think Porter's a bad basketball coach, but I think he's a disgruntled person. If anyone's ever went to work somewhere that you just really don't like your job, and even if you go and you do your job and you're a professional person, which I think Porter is, you're still going to do your job. You're still going to work hard at it, but there's no joy in it. And when there's no joy in it, there's no breaks that go your way. And that's just where it is with Porter is I think he's still working at it. I mean, yeah, that was a much better performance than some of the previous performances, just like the Alabama one was. But I also know this team got murdered at Mississippi State. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we've lost 6 in a row, and there's been ups and downs, but the bottom line is they've all been losses. And we've had losses where we've been competitive. We've had losses where they've been non-competitive. But the bottom line is this is not last year's SEC. If you go back and look at this after the momentum we had after beating OSU, I kind of thought, okay, we've got the one kind of bad loss to Arizona State, but look at the loss to Gonzaga, loss to Nebraska, still looks pretty good now. You kind of think, okay, maybe this team really is something. And I, for one, think this is the best roster of talent that Porter Moser has had. Absolutely. And I don't want to hear the people talking about, and this is probably my biggest frustration with the Porter Moser era is there's been a lot of excuses made, just a lot of excuses and not enough ownership. One thing, and obviously this is a football first podcast. Brent Venables, even when it's bad, there's ownership, complete and total ownership. I don't get that from the Porter Moser regime. It's a lot of, ifs and ands and wishes. And, it's like, well, we're not spending enough. Porter Moser needs to go to a college without football. He just does.
Yeah.
Where he needs to go. He needs to go back to a mid-major school that doesn't play FBS football. And I think he can go back there and and be kind of what he is, which is a middling mid-major coach. When you look at the history of his career, the outlier are the Krutwig, Loyola, Chicago teams. All the rest are teams a lot like this OU teams that we've seen during his times here. They're middling. That's what it is. And middling in today's SEC is not going to get it done. It's just not.
Well, and I was trying to compare him to what coach have we seen? It just looks like this isn't the right fit. Compared to lots of Shaka Smart when he went to Texas.
Yeah.
It was like you could just
square
tell,
peg in a round hole. Yeah.
It seemed like at the time a really good home run hire, just like Porter did. Porter coming off Final Four, we're like, oh my goodness, we got this coach that took Chicago Loyola to a Final Four, and it just hasn't translated. And I think that's a lot how Shaka Smart is. Now you look at Shaka Smart, he's succeeding, and I think we'll see that with Porter Moser. He's going to go to a smaller school. He is going to have success, and we're going to be like, where was that? Well, you know what, guys? Sometimes there's coaches that just aren't big-time coaches. They can't coach high major teams, and that's kind of where we're at. Lon Kruger was a home run hire because Lon Kruger had success in every level. And you know what? He could reach his players. I mean, we have Ryan on here talking about, Ryan Spangler talking about Kruger. Listen to the ex-players talk about their coaches, and you can figure out a lot for what type of coach they are. And that's what we had with Kruger, and unfortunately with Moser, it just never has translated. And I hate it.
Here's a fun stat for you, Jeremy. I wish we had Lon Kruger.
Lon Kruger, come on
my mind. Yeah, exactly. Lon, get off the golf course. You're needed back here, right? You're needed back here ASAP.
We're going to ask Ryan, can you get Lon Kruger on here? God's kind of promised the world to these people.
In 22 seasons as a head coach, Porter Moser's been a Division I head coach for 22 seasons. 20 of those seasons have ended in double-digit losses. Only 2 haven't. So we're kind of paying for those 2, okay? Everything else has told us that this is a guy who, just really hasn't been able to get it done. I mean, between the Final Four, the Final Four team that he went to Loyola Chicago with in 2017, 2018, year before that, he was 18-14. Year after that, he was 20-14. Okay. Year after that, 21-11. Then he goes 26-5 back to 2016, gets the OU job. And that's just where it's at. And, at OU, he's lost 16 games. He's lost 17 games. He's lost 12 games. He's lost 14 games. His career as the head coach of Illinois State, he was 51-67. Even his quote unquote, best job at Loyola Chicago, he had a 571 win percentage. And that's not to go back, but it's kind of like the old Kurt Signetti thing. Google me, I'm a winner. Okay. Google me, I win. Google Porter Moser, you're about 500. That's just where we are. And you look at his conference record and all of that stuff, he has a 30 winning percentage at Illinois State in conference, a 500 winning percentage in the Missouri Valley. And, he's at 357 in the SEC, and he was under 500 in the Big 12. So you are what your record says you are. You're not very good. This team is not very good. That being said, there's some players I like on this team. I mean, Xavier Brown, that was a good hire, bringing in his dad to get him. He's a really good player. But it just speaks to the poor roster construction when the Russians had to play so much at the center because Mo was a returning player who didn't get any better. And, I just don't understand some things. Like we play Qual and he scores 14 points in the Ole Miss game, and then he's out of the rotation after that going forward, and this team has a hard time scoring. There's just lots of things that just don't add up to me, Jeremy. They just don't. Well, and we never run anything. It's a mess. It's just a mess.
Yeah. And it's got worse every year. We unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because it saved his job, got in a tournament. I mean, that literally was the only reason. We don't make the tournament. I don't think we bring him back. And it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But I said this a while back on the Sooners Girls Sports Pod. If you hadn't listened to that, listen to it. I was on there a while back, and we were going through this 2 years ago about Moser. And I said, you know what the difference between Porter Moser and Patty Gasso is? Winners win, losers lose. And that's the long and the short of it, is Patty Gasso, if you watch her, how many times does she blame other things when she loses? Never. And then Porter Moser, I don't look at it as Tyler Neal, complaining about the fan base and this is why they can't get up and blah. I'm like, don't fall into this trap. Listen, guys, people aren't going to go show up to a basketball team that's putting out a product like this. That is, I mean, if OU football looked like this, I know everybody loves OU football, but people would eventually stop showing up. If you give them 4 years of this, they would eventually stop showing up. I promise you. And everybody loves OU football, but you can't expect people to come watch this.
Let's just look at something like, the women had a really, really big win against South Carolina the other night. Awesome win. Great clip of Jenny after the game, yelling the "we're effing back." That's the kind of passion that you love to see. And not that I'm pro our coaches cursing. So, from a school administration side, wouldn't want to do something like that. But just as important as that win, it was they were on a 3-game losing streak going into that. They turn around and they go win at Auburn. Auburn's not as good, but they backed it up because you know what? If you lose that game, if you win South Carolina and then turn around and lose to Auburn, you're kind of right back where you were. That's the kind of thing Porter Moser's teams haven't ever done. Is even when we would get a big win, whether it was beating Alabama a few years ago or some of these other wins in the past, as soon as we would do that, we would come right out of it. We would buy a new pair of shoes and step directly in cow crap. And that's where we're at, is the women have understood that and they can build. And there's going to be games where Leah Chavez, when she hits shots, I think that women's team can beat anybody in the country. When she doesn't, they can't. But there's a vision, there's things, there's cohesion. You can see that they like playing, with each other. And I still have some struggles with what Jenny does, X's and O's wise. To me, I don't think they run great stuff. I really wish there was some times that they could kind of run some sets and get some better things. But again, you can't question the passion, and she owns it. When they get beat, it is, we didn't do this well enough. We didn't do that well enough. And it's not about the atmosphere. It's not about the fact that they sold out Lloyd Noble, to LSU and then got their their head kicked in. What they do, they dust themselves off and they come back and beat South Carolina. That's what it takes. And with the men's team, there's just, I just don't feel that. I just don't.
No. And you're going to have a lot of big turnover. You're going to let Moser go. Everybody's going to exit. I mean, I would I think everybody probably exits. It's probably good to have a fresh start. It's college basketball.
It's just like this, Jeremy, and this is no slight on Dayton. But, we made a choice in the recruiting deal there today, and why not both? We don't take T.O. Barrett out of Edmond North, and we do take Dayton. T.O. Barrett has 21 points in that game the other night. Dayton doesn't score, okay? Yeah. And that's not a shot at Dayton. I don't mean that. But that just means that just goes to this staff. If you don't think Barrett was taking that personal playing the OU game when he didn't get an OU offer, I don't know what to tell you. Now, I'm not going to come here and tell you because Luke Northweather was on that team. That was a great built roster on that team either. Okay. But you just look at decisions that were made with the staff. What do we have to do in order to really do well at Oklahoma, whether it's a Blake Griffin or a Trey Young? We have to have in-state super duper stars come and in-state players that just make more of themselves, like a Ryan Spangler. Here's the deal. Ryan went to Gonzaga first, ended back up here. Okay. And Ryan told that story on this pod last year. But, I'm not saying it's all just about signing Oklahoma kids, but the fact that we don't even make Montnotti's, I think, final 3 out of Owasso, this kind of shows you where this program is, where things are, and just the need, the want for change is, and I say this as a former basketball coach, I'm not a big fan of blaming coaches, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over, expecting different results. We're at year 5. He's not reaching it. They're not reaching it. I know we just hired a new AD and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not sure, what Joe, and I don't think Joe C wants to make enemies on his farewell tour, but it's interim coach time. It is.
Yeah. I mean, what do you have to lose now? I mean, this team's given up.
And you just go to Porter and say, look, I know you're going to be looking too. This gives you a chance to, be out there on the market, and his agent's already out there too. I expect Porter to pop back up, at a College of Charleston or something like that, is probably where he's headed after this. Maybe a San Diego State type job. I don't know. But, this is it. And if it was up to me, I would say you pull the plug now. You get through Tuesday's game against Arkansas. I think there's a bye coming in here before too terribly long as far as like when we don't play. And that's just what I would do.
It's like we said before the conference season started. We said, win the games that you're supposed to. Mississippi State, South Carolina. Really, you had a chance to beat Alabama at home. That's a big, bracket. That helps you in the bracket.
Yeah. You were in the A&M game.
You not only didn't win, you didn't win any of them. I mean, not one of those games. And it's just, look at Missouri. Missouri's not great. I mean,
Missouri's a bubble team, right.
We had every opportunity to beat them. And we just
But here's our next 4, Jeremy. Tell me if you like our chances. Arkansas, Texas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt. Like your chances in any of those?
No. I don't like our chances against Tulsa, to be honest with you.
No, Tulsa's, hats off to the Cane. They're rolling a little bit. Shout out JR and company. So they got a big one coming up with North Texas, who beat them the other night down in Denton. So they're ready for a little bit of that. So I know this isn't Golden Hurricane Pod, but just a little quick shout out there.
But I say that just to say it can't be fixed. I mean, Tulsa's gone through it. It's hard nowadays for Tulsa to be good because of NIL, because of the money that goes into it. And as a program like Tulsa, you have to basically just say, we have to get money from donors. And how do you get money from donors? You have to have success. And so how do you get success? You get good players. So it's very hard to do in this day and age in college sports.
But Jeremy, you've seen way too many like 1-year turnarounds in college basketball with this roster creation, thing. It's ridiculous for us to be in the position that we're in. It just is. And
I mean, it can happen. I mean, look at Signetti. I mean, there is no better like translation of NIL and how to work it than Kurt Signetti. And I'll tell you this is what's funny. I just mentioned this once about Signetti because I don't want to give him more airtime, but because I hate him now because he's a winner. But he, one of my buddy Kevin, who's a high school football coach, he said he's cracked the code. It's what's funny. I said, what do you mean? He goes, look at all those players on his team. They're all juniors and seniors. He's got nothing but veterans on that team. He's not getting these young kids that got 3 or 4 years. He's getting the kids that got 1 year left, that's playing for their life, playing to get in the NFL. That's who he's getting, who's played enough football. I mean, so it makes sense. I mean, he really is. He's just getting all the veterans. So, I mean, they are, and not to mention, they are probably one of the best coach teams I've ever seen in college football. I mean, just they don't make mistakes. So, and that's veteran leadership. So, but not to get in football because we can't get in football right now because we're hammering down basketball. But let's talk a little bit about, because I was thinking about this, I think about this every time I watch OU basketball. Who do I want to bring in? And after we go through this, we'll go through the next big part of our pod, which is a new AD. But I used to think like bring in somebody who's got OU ties. But you look at it, if you do that, a lot of them are going to be first-time head coaches. And I don't think we can go that route. I think we have to go a coach who is proven, a tenured coach that wins not just one good season. It's got to be somebody that, has a track record of being a winner. And I mean, what do you think?
I would say, like, if you could get the guy at Vanderbilt, I think that would be who I would really go after. Because I mean, what he's doing is not with a great NIL budget, and he's winning in the SEC. And Oklahoma's just a better job than Vanderbilt is. I mean, here's the thing about Oklahoma basketball, Jeremy. This is a top 25 basketball job in the country. It just is. It's not the football job. It's not a top 10 job in the country, but it's a top 25 job in the country. And yes, I mean, is there a part of me that would love to say Kellen Sampson or Hollis Price or something like that? Sure. But the likelihood is that's probably not going to work. I think if you could get, like I said, the guy who is at Vanderbilt, his name kind of eludes me right now. I would obviously be interested in him. I was always a Grant McCaslin guy. I don't think he's going to leave Texas Tech and come to Oklahoma at this point. Do think there are some interesting people there too. I might look for a high-profile assistant who's got some really good recruiting ties, maybe an assistant at UConn or, something like that. Certainly think that's good. I mean, we just hired the Illinois AD, right? Can he just bring Underwood with him? And that would really piss off everybody.
Oh man.
So let's just go with that. Let's just hire Brad Underwood.
But
I think we're all good with that, right?
But that's the person I mean is like Underwood has got a track record of being a winner, right? Like everywhere he's gone, he's won. I mean, he won at OSU, and then after he left, it's like, they went through the Boynton era, and it just – but that's the type of coaches I'm talking about. We need somebody that's tenured, that's got a winning resume, got a guy that just wins everywhere he goes, because these guys who have one good season, we've obviously know that that's probably not going to work. They got to be used to playing in big-time basketball. And Moser, like I said, he's probably going to succeed in a smaller school, but I just don't see it. And I'm kind of like you. Would I like to say anybody on the Houston staff come to OU? Yeah, but who's to say that they would take it right now? That's a hard job right now for them. Your first job coming into Oklahoma, trying to turn this program that was once great around. And I don't know. Houston might be a better job to stick around there.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of loyalty to Kelvin and, all that stuff. And I mean, this is why, and this is a great time to transition into AD talk. But I mean, this is going to be, and I know who we hired. Roger Denny is really more of a lawyer than an athletics guy as far as, everything I've seen. But at the same time, who's going to be I think it's probably just as important to think about, okay, who is going to make this basketball hire? Is this Joe Castiglione? Who, let's be honest, Joe has made some interesting basketball hires. He has. I mean, Porter Moser, during that cycle, that's who everybody wanted. That was the prettiest girl, that was the prettiest girl looking for a prom date. We got her. It wasn't our fault that when we got her, it didn't work out. But, that was who everybody wanted. He got Lon Kruger when no one even knew Lon Kruger was available. The Capel hire, while it didn't work out, was an interesting hire. I mean, you're hiring a guy from a great coaching family, the Duke pedigree and all of that. And then, he hires a guy from out of nowhere when he hires Kelvin and does a great job. So there's been Jenny's been a great hire. Replacing Sherry, who was there, for forever. So even though I know Joe is technically on the way out, I wouldn't be shocked if this is still kind of a Joe hire, because I do think Joe, being an old Missouri, guy too, has some basketball thoughts and interests. And I don't see that our new AD, Roger Denny, I gotta get used to that name. I don't really see where it's like, hey, congratulations, I go hire a basketball coach. I think his job is going to be more about, hey, congratulations. Let's go find some rich people. Let's go make sure our NIL contracts are good. Let's look at some of this private equity stuff. I think that's the thing we're looking at with our new AD. What
Let's
just
go get-
general
let's go
thoughts
get-
on the
Let's go get
AD
Owen
hire?
Yeah, let's go get Owen Heineke another year. That might be a first.
Yeah, exactly.
First,
Hiring a lawyer never hurt there, right?
I don't. Everybody's like, "Oh, you know anything about this guy?" Good. I mean, because to me, Nagy's involved in this. You know that he wants somebody that, because NIL is the name of the game in college sports now. So what's every hire consist of? What's smart with the NIL money? What can we do to help us transition to this NIL world? And a lawyer is a very good person to have in that works, because you listen to Dabo Sweeney complaining about Golding tampering, and what did that happen at OU?
If you did not listen to that 8 minutes, take the time, guys. It's worth it. After you listen to this pod, finish the pod, but then use those 8 minutes.
It's just, and if you don't think that's going on all around college football, you're naive and blind, because everybody's calling everyone right after season's over. What's your buyout? Can I get you more money over here? I can get you more money. What are you looking for? It's just crazy. And there's got to be, and that's why, as OU fans, we better be happy Brent Venables is here, because to me, those players are very loyal to Brent Venables. And any player that's left, they don't want to leave. And you listen to it on their posts. So I think it's a smart hire, because that's what we need in the NIL world. Castiglione is picked a good time to leave. I think this day and age in college sports, I think he's a dinosaur in that regards. And this guy's going to be able to hire you probably a basketball coach or any coach out there that's going to fit the landscape of college sports, in my opinion. So,
well, his big background at his law firm was in collective bargaining. Okay. And what collective bargaining is this is the whole, things that lead to strikes, things that lead to, this is contract law. This is all those things. This is what he's going to have. And in doing all that, he's going to have a lot of connections there as well. I did read that he was pretty big in the Brett Bielema hire as far as Illinois football, which has been a really, really good hire for them. And it was a guy who, Bielema didn't have a successful stint at Arkansas. That was a bad fit when he went to the SEC. Just kind of like Porter Moser was a bad fit for this position in the SEC. So it'll be interesting to look at. So when you're thinking of with Roger Denny and how involved he's going to be involved, Joe C is going to be involved, President Harris is going to be involved, Trey Young is going to be involved. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be all the different people that have a say in this are going to be involved in this hire. But maybe we need to think about somebody who has been successful in the SEC that's a little bit outside of the box. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's somebody like a Frank Martin who used to be at South Carolina. Maybe Buzz Williams is now this time he really does come home. Yeah. He just took the Maryland job. Who knows? I don't know. Don't have the answers to that. But looking at playing context clues with the Roger Denny hire, and what the Roger Denny hire shows us is Oklahoma is, while still embracing the new as far as hiring somebody who's not a lifelong athletics administrator, we also didn't jump all the way off in the pool and hire someone who's never been in athletic administration. So it looks like a smart hire, but just kind of like Jim Nagy and the transfer portal class, we'll see. The grade's still to be determined. I like what I've seen so far. This looks like a smart hire. I think it's a good thing. I'm happier with this than I would have been if this would have been, say, a Zach Selman or somebody like that who was just cut from the exact same cloth. And that's no shot on Zach. But I think this is the right hire. But only time's going to tell. We'll see.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people always want to go with what they're comfortable with, a name that they've seen. And so when you bring a new name in and you don't know who they are, it's like, well, what are we doing here? You might not even know anything about the guy. But with Zach Selman, like you just said, who did he learn from? Joe Castiglione. Yeah. So, I mean, you get to a point where you're just like, okay, change is good every once in a while. And I think it's a good hire. Time will tell. It's just like our football team. All the pieces that we put in look like good fits, but only time will tell. We don't know until we get in that position. We may be talking a year from now about he brought this basketball coach in who just is horrible, and he's doing the same thing Josie did. I can see it already. You know what? You know what really sucks for this guy is that he has to hire a new softball coach. His tenure will probably consist of replacing Patty Gasso. Who in God's name would ever want to do that? Hopefully he's smart and just does JT Gasso and moves him up.
I would say probably you keep that one in the fan lane.
Yeah, I would think, and I'm sure Patty Gasso's got a little bit of say so. And I think when you put a statue of a human in front of their stadium, they got a little say so in it. But you mentioned Trae Young. People are like, what's Trae Young got to do with it? His 2 cents. I mean, the guy's played basketball. He's got his ear on the ground. He does it.
Here's the deal. Don't be shocked if it's not somebody who is represented by the same agent that Trae Young is. All these things work in circles. And, that's just how all this stuff works. The answer to all your questions is money, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And we got a contract lawyer in there in order to try to, number one, infuse more money into us. I would much rather have us hired Cody Campbell to be our AD. The rich guy who, is funding Texas Tech. That'd have been who I would have hired. Or see if Elon wants to be an AD. Why not? He's kind of off stuff right now. Don't know how much sports Elon knows, but whatever. You throw that out there. Don't know. But you either get someone who's going to bring it, who has money, is going to bring in more money, or is going to help you allocate the money that you have in a better way. That's what Jen Nagy does. Hopefully, that's what Roger Denny's going to do too.
Yep. Well, guys, we went 31 minutes on college basketball. Unfortunately, I told Goss before we got on, I said, unfortunately, we're at the time of the year where we're forced to talk about OU basketball. It is always our most dreaded, and it sucks because
we love it.
We both played basketball. We were literally reminiscing before we got on about old high school basketball games. We played together, we played against each other. We love basketball, but we hate it to see our program go to where it is now. It's frustrating when you were talking about our friend group. We're the ones that talk about basketball because they know nothing about it. Like me and Steve can watch it and be like, what are they doing here? And they're like, they don't make shots. That's all they see. And we're like, well, they don't run offense. All they do is just shoot threes. Or they're pushing them outside the 3-point line. Now they can't get it. It's just like we see everything that's going on, and we're just like, why can't they fix it? But we've said that for 4 years now. So it is.
Okay, let's just have a quick aside here before we sign off. Jeremy, I saw Collinsville, maybe leader in the clubhouse in snow. Saw 11 inches up there. So congratulations on that. Have you done or will you do any shoveling? Has been any shoveling in your pet?
I'll tell you a funny story.
In your day.
Around our neighborhood, I pulled the kids around in my truck behind me. I pulled them on a sled, a little inner tube. And we get close to my house, and my wife, God love her, is out there plowing and scooping our driveway. And I said, what are you doing? What? I just want to do this. I go, you imagine if somebody drives by and sees my wife is like taking care of our front driveway, they're going to call me in. Okay, I don't need this right now. Just quit. Just let me drive them around. No, but if you know my wife, she always what she wants to do is be like, well, yeah, I had to take care of our driveway because Jeremy wouldn't do it. I guarantee I can already see that conversation coming. So yeah. I know I have not touched it. I told her we have 4x4 on both our vehicles. So and I can get
it. You have to work tomorrow, Jeremy.
Unfortunately, I do. Yes.
Okay. So all right, we are distance learning. So any teachers, if you want to assign this podcast for any work, I will approve that to any of my staff who's listening. This is definitely educating the minds of America's youth. To any students who are listening, once again, I will take this off some of your distance learning time if you hang in there and you subscribe and you do all that stuff. That will be on there, but doesn't look promising this week.
Hey, real quick, is it true they're doing away with distance learning after this year?
There is, yeah. This is kind of the last year. There's a thing where legally you can write into the state, and if the governor declares a state of emergency, you can get some time. But long story short, and I won't go into the whole the the minutia of it. But yeah, this is really the last year of it.
Okay. Well, I mean, to me, I'm like, it takes away from kids' snow days. I know why you do it. Like
Right.
COVID changed it. You know, when you
Yeah.
had COVID, it was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
now we know we can do this.
100%. I mean, to me, what it really should be, like, there's a chance none of us are in school this week, especially in rural districts and places. Like, it's going to be rough for us around the lake, that sort of thing. And I think when you have extended time like that, I think it's good that, just for loss of learning and all those things. But let's be honest, the amount of work that gets done is not the same. And it is really frustrating for parents to have to help their kids with this stuff. I think parents pay taxes, so we educate them, not so you do. So all in all, I'm not really a fan, but I do think there's a time and a place for it. But it's not all it's cracked up to be.
No, I agree. All right, guys. Well, I didn't say in the middle of it, so I'll get really big into it now. Subscribe to our channel. We're sitting on 190. We've been sitting on 190. Go ahead and you have nothing to do. You're snowed in. Might as well listen to Soonercast. If you're listening to us, subscribe to us. Follow us on Apple and Spotify. And guys, where can they get us on that email?
That's Soonercast@gmail.com. We love the comments. We love the likes. We really, really love all the follows. Let's be over 200 by the next time we talk. Don't know when that's going to be. We might try to get on here Wednesday if we have some stuff to talk about. But hopefully everyone stays safe out there. Don't slam on those brakes. Switch it in 4x4, and don't follow too close. Boomer
Boomer Sooner.